Alright, what's up guys? So, Fact Faction has uploaded a video titled 5 Mysterious Unsolved Cases number 13. Let's go ahead and get into this, because Fact Faction, they always kill it with these unsolved mystery videos. And I always like trying my best to solve them. Like, that's what I think about unsolved mysteries. I'm like, man, they should do a TV show where it's like it's like a reality show, but it's like it's like just random people going around trying to solve unsolved mysteries, have some celebrities on there. I think it could work. I think it would be one of those shows where I'm all like, I support it, because it can uncover. But it's like, I could imagine that though, like the first episode, it's like me and Shaq. Or it's like, I'm trying to think of some other people. It's freaking Chris Brown and I'm trying to think who else, and Gucci Mane. It just be one of those things where it's all like, you know what? I'm curious to see how they would solve this unsolved mystery. But anyways, let's go ahead and check this out. Make sure if you guys haven't, go subscribe to Fact Faction for more videos like this. And with that being said, spy in the bag.
On Monday, August
Gareth?
23rd,
Like, that was
2010,
their name?
London
Gareth?
resident Carrie Sub was worried about her brother. Gareth Williams was punctual and considerate, and he had uncharacteristically missed a meetup with Carrie the previous evening and remained unreachable. Around 11 a.m., she contacted his employers at the Secret Intelligence Service. The SIS, also known as MI6, is the equivalent of the United States Central Intelligence Agency.
Oh.
Gareth, a junior analyst for the Government Communications Headquarters, the British counterpart to the American National Security Agency, was on a 3-year temporary assignment with MI6, set to end in September. Around 4 p.m., MI6 called Scotland Yard. Officers were dispatched to his flat on Alderney Street in the upscale residential neighborhood of Pimlico, where they discovered a puzzling scene. Despite the summer temperatures, the heat in Gareth's apartment was turned up. There was no sign of forced entry, but as officers proceeded cautiously through the flat, a padlocked red sports bag was found inside the bathtub. Tragically, this contained the keys to the lock and Gareth's nude remains.
Gareth Williams, a brilliant mathematician who'd graduated at 17 and went on to work in GCHQ before being seconded to MI6. But in August 2010, he was found dead in his London flat in the most unusual of circumstances.
The initial investigation discovered traces of DNA, but not enough to form a profile. Furthermore, Gareth's DNA was not present on the outside of the bag, the padlock, or anywhere inside the tub. An iPhone was found at the home that had been reset to factory settings right around his estimated time of death, which was thought to be a week prior on August 16th. Though coroner Dr. Fiona Wilcox believed a third party was involved, Deputy Assistant Commissioner Martin Hewitt stated that Gareth was most probably by himself when he passed away. Unfortunately,
then it's like, my question is, who put him in that bag? Because I don't think nobody's just gonna put themselves in that bag. So I'm like, somebody definitely put him in that bag. He probably didn't die all the way right there and stuff, or who knows, maybe they just threw him off in that bag, locked it up, threw him off in that tub and things. But yeah, that don't make no sense to me. Them like, ain't nobody just gonna put themselves in the bag, heat up the whole house and stuff. Yeah, I'm like, somebody definitely was involved, because that ain't adding up.
Composition made it difficult to tell if poison or signs of a struggle were present, and there were no traces of alcohol or common recreational drugs in his system. In 2013, Scotland Yard concluded that Gareth likely locked himself in the bag, and that his death was a dreadful accident. Once inside, it would have only taken around 3 minutes for Gareth to suffocate. However, 2 experts attempted to recreate the scene and failed over 400 times.
I tried hundreds of times to lock myself inside this bag and couldn't. Even Houdini would have struggled with this one. Someone else must have been involved.
That's what I'm saying.
DAC Hewitt told the press that he was satisfied with the theoretical possibility that Gareth could have locked himself in the sports bag.
There are gaps in our understanding, and there are some pieces of evidence that tend you towards one theory more than another, and there are gaps that contradict that. What I'm saying is that, in my view, after the further 2 years of investigation, I think it is more probable that Gareth was on his own at the time of his death.
I'm like, yeah, and my thing is this, to that cop, I'm like, you're supporting this theory so much, but I'm like, yeah, it has been proven that it's not, like, workable. You can't do stuff like that, So, yeah, that's why I'm like, if I'm, like what was it, like their version of the CIA, like that he was working for, I definitely would look into that. You know, I'm like, who would be the people? What was he investigating or doing prior up to his death and things? Because I felt like he probably was getting ready to unveil some crazy case. And yeah, then there was like people knew that he was getting ready to do that. Was probably going around like see the people that he was questioning, talking to up until, because it's like, yeah, the thing is this. It's stuff like that where it's like if you conduct some investigation surrounding his death, you're gonna see some bread crumbs that was left behind. So that's why I'm like, yeah, me personally, I feel like that he was probably getting ready to solve some like crazy case. And yeah, the people that that was involved didn't want to, I guess, be outed out by him. So yeah, he I feel like, yeah, it's like definitely it was professionalized you know, killing and stuff, because yeah, that to me, that just don't make sense. You lock yourself up in a bag and then yeah, just go and just, yeah, it's like, yeah, just I'm just gonna lock myself in the bag and kill myself. Nah, I don't know. It's like maybe he might have been going through something emotionally behind the scenes, but I don't know, man. That just doesn't seem likely. But you know, it's something where it could be a possibility, but I don't know. But anyways,
however, many questions remain about the circumstances surrounding his death. An independent
don't add
forensic
up.
review was conducted in January 2021, but this concluded in November 2023 with no further answers. In the absence of information, rumors have swirled surrounding the circumstances of the spy's death. As a codebreaker and skilled mathematician, some speculate that his demise may have been related to his work with the GCHQ and MI6. He was investigating Russian money laundering, and some, including former MP Norman Baker, believe he might have been the victim of a Russian hit that was then covered up by Britain's national security forces. Another hypothesis concerns Gareth's personal life. After his death, women's clothing and shoes were discovered at his residence, though he wasn't known to have a significant other or to wear clothing from different gender identities. Browser history revealed that Gareth occasionally visited bondage websites, but not frequently enough to indicate a fixation on the topic. A former landlady in Cheltenham also discovered that she and her husband once freed his hands from his bedposts after they heard him calling for help. Gareth told them he was just trying to see if he could get free, but the couple believed his predicament stemmed from personal gratification rather than professional experimentation. Ultimately, since Gareth was a very reserved person with few friends, there isn't much we can definitively say about his proclivities. Sadly, no answers appear to be on the horizon. The Williams family continues to support coroner Fiona Wilcox's initial impressions of the case. As their lawyer,
that very well could be a possibility. It's like not, you know, trying to bring this man's personal life into it and things, but yeah, it could have been a situation where, you know, he invited somebody over that did that type of stuff. He wanted that to happen. Then I think after, you know, a certain amount of time, probably the person realized that he died, suffocated and died in that bag. And then, yeah, you know, cleaned up the place, and then just, you know, like, I went on about their business. Because it's something where it's like, I feel like that you probably would get broken off a lot of time in prison if you killed some, like a spy and stuff, I don't like, yeah, government spy, but yeah, it's like, you gonna most likely get broken off some time in prison for doing something like that. So yeah, they just, you know, went ahead, cleaned it all up, made sure that could be the case, or it could just be something, just planted there to make it seem like that he did that, because it just, somebody definitely killed them. There is no doubt about it, a person was in there and stuff, because I just don't believe that a person would do that to themselves. Then on top of that, if you had it where, people tried it over 400 different times doing the same thing that he did and they couldn't do it, that's what I'm saying. It's like he had to have had somebody there with him. There's no way possible you're just going to do that to yourself. So anyways,
Anthony O'Toole noted, "We know that there was somebody in the flat. That is beyond dispute."
Yeah, ain't no doubt about that. Last night out,
on June 3,
Spyrer?
2011, after completing her sophomore year at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, 20-year-old Lauren Spearer was eager to enjoy a night out. Around 12:30 a.m., Lauren left her home at the Smallwood apartment complex with her friend David Rohn and headed to Jay Rosenbaum's residence at 5 North Townhomes. There, she met up with Jay and was introduced to his neighbor Corey Rossman and Corey's roommate Mike Beth. An hour later, David returned home while Lauren and Corey left for Kilroy's sports bar. Witnesses noted Lauren and Corey entering the bar at 1:46 a.m. and leaving at 2:27 a.m. By this time, Lauren was noticeably intoxicated and had abandoned her shoes and cell phone at Kilroy's. 3 minutes later, the pair were seen entering Lauren's apartment complex by a group of 4 male students who were friends with her longtime boyfriend, Jesse Wolfe. For some reason, the men started a fight with Corey, and he took a punch that knocked him to the ground. As FBI cold case agent Brad Garrett told ABC News, apparently they don't like the way Rossman is handling Lauren. At this point, rather than proceed to her 5th floor dwelling, Lauren and Corey decide to return to his home. At 2:51 a.m., security cameras captured the two exiting an alley where Lauren's keys and purse were later found. Soon after, Lauren stumbled, and CCTV caught an image of Lauren slumped on the curb while Corey was speaking on the phone. It later came out through journalist Sean Cohen's investigation that the call was to a 17-year-old girl in his hometown of Sharon, Massachusetts. The young woman, Brooke Bowens, claims to have no memory of the phone conversation, but her mother told Sean that Corey warned Brooke to stay off the phone since the FBI might be tapping her line. Sometime around 3 a.m., they arrived at Corey's home where he promptly vomited. His roommate Mike, seeing that Lauren was also heavily intoxicated, tried to convince her to stay on their couch. According to him, Lauren was adamant about returning home, and at 3:30 a.m., Mike called his neighbor Jay and asked him to come and take care of her. She eventually returned to Jay's apartment and used his cell phone to call David Rohn and one other unnamed friend, but neither picked up. An hour later, at 4:30 a.m., Lauren left Jay's apartment, presumably to return home. She was last sighted by Jay on the corner of 11th Street and College Avenue, barefoot and wearing a white shirt and black leggings. Several hours later, her boyfriend Jesse, who'd spent the night at home, texted her. The pair had communicated throughout the night, but he went to bed around 2:30 a.m., right around the same time Lauren left the bar without her phone.
Why? My thing is this. If I'm the boyfriend, and yeah, maybe they like, nah, you got like attachment issues. I'm not going to allow my girlfriend to. I'm like, nah, the thing is this. If somebody, because it definitely sounds like somebody had probably took advantage of her and killed her. But my thing is this. We're both gonna, we're like, no, I'm like, I just want to say it's like, I'm gonna try my best to survive. But if it's a situation where I can't survive, then I'm like, then we both, leaving this world. I'm not going to allow my girlfriend to hang out with multiple dudes throughout the night and me just being at home chilling. Yeah, something don't seem right. I'm like, the boyfriend got to get questioned too, because I'm like, why are you allowing your girl to just be going around with guys? I'm like, yeah, it's like, the thing is this. I do not mind, my girlfriend having guy friends, but it's just one of those things where it's like, that it's just hanging out with multiple dudes throughout the night, and I'm just at home chilling. Yeah, it's something where I'm like, in this day and age, you can't allow stuff like that to happen. You can't just allow and it's, especially if it's something where it's like, okay, I know no drinking is going to be involved, and I'm like, okay, cool, protect yourself. I'm like, here are some weapons. Here's a backpack with more weapons. Here's some shoes from Wild Wild West where you step on it and the knife come flying out. But I'm like, you're not going to just be out there just unprotected hanging out with multiple guys. Nah. And then you're drinking on top of that. Yeah, I'm like, to whoever my future girlfriend, wife is, like whoever she is, I'm like, nah. I'm like, if it's something where we all can't do it, I'm like, then yeah, they ain't gonna be you hanging out with multiple guys in the middle of the night. And I'm supposed to just be like, yeah, that's normal. No, that's not normal.
His text was answered by a bar employee, and when he failed to locate Lauren by the afternoon, Jesse reported her missing. In the early days, the search for Lauren was thorough, involving cadaver dogs, civilian volunteers, and even the FBI. Unfortunately, there was nothing substantial to point to Lauren's whereabouts, and theories began to take shape. Some believe that Lauren was roofied at Kilroy's, accounting for her high level of impairment, but those close to her have intimated that Lauren voluntarily consumed recreational drugs. Jay told the police that he had witnessed her do so on the night in question. Additionally, in 2010, 9 months before she vanished, she was charged with public intoxication and illegal consumption, and a small amount of cocaine was recovered in her room during the police searches. Lauren also had a heart condition known as long QT syndrome. This causes an irregular heartbeat that can lead to sudden cardiac arrest and could heighten the danger of consuming illicit substances. Some speculate that Lauren overdosed that night and that her friends covered it up in a panic. David, Jay, Mike, Corey, and Jesse have all submitted DNA to the Bloomington police and passed private polygraph tests. However, the 5 men also refused to receive polygraphs from the local police department, and they have all retained legal representation. Corey also claims to have no further memories of the night after sustaining the punch at Lauren's apartment complex. Others have hypothesized that Lauren...
like, the people she was hanging out with definitely has some, because that testing, isn't that, like, overall, like, it's a lie detector test, right? Where it's, like, they will ask them questions. My thing is this: if I know I didn't do nothing wrong, and I know if I, like, didn't, like, overall know what happened to this girl, and I'm just unaware of it, it's just like the rest of the world, then, yeah, then I'm doing whatever test you want me to take. You have me take a DNA test, the lie detector test, have me take, send me back to school and have me take the Wassel test. I do not care. I'm taking tests left and right to prove my innocence if I know I didn't do nothing. But yeah, it's things like that where it's like you're giving people a reason to believe that you did something if you're refusing to take a test and all these other different things. But yeah, it's like the thing is this though. It's like, if they did have something to do with her death, that's something they're going to have to live with for the rest of their life. That's something where it's like, it's just going to be random points and times in their life, and hopefully they decide not to have no kids. But it's like, if they have kids, and they just so happen to have a daughter, that's something that's going to be in the back of their mind. And it's like, I think it's going to hit them, and it's going to probably be at some point in time, one of them's going to come forward and be like, yeah, we had something to do with her death and things, and then they all going to end up getting arrested. So I'm like, it's just going to take them having just that one life-altering experience where it's like, dang, bro, like, it's like I really covered up this girl's death. It's gonna hit them one day. So yeah, it's something where it's like, I just don't believe that she just up and just died, and it's like, or disappeared, whatever her situation is. But yeah, it's like something just don't seem right, where it's like all them guys is around her, but they don't know what happened to her, and you guys is pretty much spending the whole night with her and things. Yeah, I ain't hearing that.
Snatched up by a stranger. But Lauren's family believes that the answers to their daughter's final hours lie closer to home. The Spearers filed a civil lawsuit against Jay, Mike, and Corey, accusing them of negligence. But the suit was dismissed in 2014 by Judge Tanya Pratt. As she noted, unfortunately, there could be any number of theories. Without evidence to prove these, it would be impossible for a jury to determine if whatever happened to Lauren was a natural and probable consequence of her intoxication. At the time of her disappearance, Lauren had blonde hair and blue eyes. She was 4'11" and 95 pounds. If you have any information about her, please utilize the contact information on the screen.
Yeah, them guys, they know something. So, bride in the bathtub.
Just before the new year, in 2010, 27-year-old Michaela Hart married John McCaffrey.
Michaela, I'm so horrible with names, bro, but anyways.
Hometown of Ballygawley, County Tyrone, Northern Ireland. After a beautiful wedding, the pair jetted off to the eastern African island of Mauritius, a tropical paradise in the Indian Ocean. The newlyweds checked into the Legends Hotel on the northern tip of the island and even received a room upgrade that placed the couple in the spacious room 1025. On January 10, 2011, the couple was about to have a cup of tea following their lunch at the hotel. Wanting something sweet with their drink, Michaela decided to return to their room to fetch a box of chocolates. She left around 2:44 p.m., promising to return soon. However, as more time ticked by, John became concerned. After 30 minutes, he settled the bill at the restaurant and returned to the room to check on Michaela. At the door of his suite, John realized he'd misplaced his keycard, and he knocked on the door. There was no answer, but he could hear the faint sound of running water. After returning to the front desk and securing a new key, he let himself in and followed the sound of the water to the suite's bathroom. There, he found his new bride's body floating in the tub. Wow. It took over an hour for Mauritian authorities to arrive at the hotel and secure the scene. During this time, many people traipsed in and out of the room, and Michaela's body was even moved from the tub, causing crucial evidence to be muddled or lost.
Dang.
Once police did arrive, their demeanor and handling of the case was unprofessional from the start, with one officer telling John, "What are you crying about? You're young, you'll get another wife."
Wow.
It appeared that Michaela interrupted a robbery. Signs of a struggle in the room bolstered this theory, and authorities began to take a closer look at hotel employees who might have had access to master keycards. This led to the arrest of 3 men shortly after the crime. 2 cleaners, 32-year-old Avinash Tribhuwan and 33-year-old Raj Tikoy. and their supervisor, 42-year-old Sandeep Munea. Apparently, all three of these men had been using master keycards to gain access to the guests' rooms and steal from them. Avinash and Sandeep were charged with murder, while Raj faced a charge of conspiracy to murder. Avinash even confessed to the crime the day after his arrest, but later retracted the statement, arguing that his confession came under duress. A week after Michaela's murder, two security officers at the hotel, Dasen Narayan and Sinaren Mungu, were also arrested for conspiracy, but these two were later cleared. Raj Tikoi was eventually cleared as well, if he testified against Avinash and Sandeep in court. In May 2012, when the proceedings began, he shared his story. On the day of Michaela's slaying, Raj noted Avinash's cleaning cart outside her room at the time of her murder. He also overheard a woman crying out several times. Frightened, he hid in an adjacent room. Several moments later, he witnessed Avinash and Sandeep leaving the McAvery suite looking flustered. Unfortunately, there was no solid evidence.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, that's exactly, I'm like, the case pretty much was just solved. I'm like, if you guys got the suspects, I'm like, yeah, case is solved. I'm like, that's exactly what it was. I'm like, robbery gone wrong. They probably thought that she wasn't in her room, and then got in there, got to fighting around with her, ended up killing her. Thought like, oh, we'll just throw her body in the bathtub or something, and then just leave it at that. But yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where it's definitely sound like it was a robbery gone wrong, because I was like, nah, it was like somebody is definitely watching them and things. And just, like, probably, I don't know what they were trying to do, but yeah, probably seeing like, okay, they look like they got money and things, and then yeah, that's how the robbery goes down. But yeah, I'm still tripping off of the cop though, talking about you'll find another wife. I probably would have swung on that cop. I'm like, because that's just something you don't say to a person then just lost their wife and things. Nah, I'm like, that cop would have got swung on.
Back up Raj's
I'm like,
story.
we all going to prison.
An expert from England tested both Michaela's body and the crime scene and found no evidence of either man's DNA. On July 12, 2012, after 8 weeks of trial, both men were found not guilty by the jury.
Wow.
Sadly, the initial investigation was so bungled that the jury deemed it impossible to reasonably convict the men in question. Avinash's supposed confession under duress and the lack of physical evidence tying the men to the crime led to an acquittal that left the McAvery and Hart families devastated.
That's
3 years
crazy.
later, in August 2015, John McAvery successfully received a payout from the Legends Hotel, totaling £1.6 million. But there still seemed to be no further movement in the case. Finally, 6 years later, in June 2021, Michaela's death gained interest once more, and the Mauritian government pledged to reopen the investigation. Unfortunately, a few months later, the star witness from the first trial, Raj Tikoi, was found dead by his own hand.
Wow.
In 2022, Dasen Narayan, the hotel security guard, was arrested again for conspiracy to commit larceny. The keycard used to gain access to the McAvery's suite was one specifically coded to the hotel's security team, and on the morning of her death, this key had been swapped out for a dummy key bearing Dasen's DNA. He alleged that he had given the working keycard to Sandeep, but then later, like Avinash, retracted his statements, accusing the Mauritian police of using excessive force to coerce a confession. His charges were dropped. At the time of recording, there are no new answers, and justice has been denied for this bright young woman for far too long. As for the Legend Hotel, it has been rebranded as the Lux Grand Gaube, and the room where Michaela met her fateful end has been renumbered from 1025 to 1026.
That's
For
crazy.
whatever reasons, people may be dubious about giving information. Perhaps they think it's too long, too much time has passed. There is never a late time for justice.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like they're giving him a payout, and I'm like, there ain't no amount of money in this world. It's like, I don't think you guys realize, it's like, I just lost the love of my life, and you guys think a payout is gonna help me out and things. It's like, it's not. I'm still, like, my wife is still dead. She's gone. So I'm like, and then you guys, where these guys are confessing and then taking back what they said, and I'm like, no, my thing is this. You guys confess. It don't matter what type of pressure you guys was on. I'm like, no, you guys confess. ain't nobody just gonna randomly just die in a bathtub, and you could see that there's an obvious struggle inside the hotel room. So that's why I'm like, yeah, them guys know what they did, and that's probably why that one dude, if there's like, they say he died by his own hand, if like overall, yeah, he probably killed himself, because that's something that he had to live with. I'm saying that's something that people don't think they realize or understand. It's like you go and you kill somebody, get somebody killed, or watch somebody die, and this, yeah, it's something where it's like, it don't matter whether you know the person or don't know the person, that's something that you're gonna have to live with. So it's like, the thing is this, there's deaths that happen in my life where it's like friends or family where it's like I have no parts of it, but it's still something that is on my mind 24/7. So that's why I'm like, yeah, bruh, it's something where it's like, and then these guys being behind it, yeah, like that's something where it's like, they might not care, but it's like at some point in time in their life, their brain is just gonna get overwhelmed with the fact that they got this or they killed this woman. And it's something where it's all like, nah, it's like, you guys, the thing is this, the next time these guys want to come out and confess and say, oh yeah, they're like, stay to the, like, you know, with the confession. Don't be all like, oh well, I retract what I said. No, I'm like, whatever your confession is, stick with it. All right. But anyways, Bill in the abandoned house, Brianna Maitland.
On the morning of Friday, March 19th, 2004, 17-year-old Brianna Maitland finished the final exam needed to earn her GED. To celebrate, her mother Kelly took her daughter out for lunch and an afternoon of shopping. While standing in the line to check out at one of the stores, Brianna abruptly left her mother to go outside. When the pair reunited in the parking lot, Brianna's mood had shifted. She seemed agitated and shaky, but Kelly didn't want to upset her further, so she left the matter alone and took her daughter to the home in Sheldon, Vermont that Brianna was currently sharing with her friend, Jillian Stout. That evening, Brianna left a note for Jillian, stating that she would be back after her shift as a dishwasher at the Black Lantern Inn in Montgomery. After clocking out around 11:20 p.m., witnesses saw Brianna getting into her green 1985 Oldsmobile sedan and drive away alone. During the afternoon of the next day, a state trooper discovered a green Oldsmobile backed into the side of an abandoned structure known by locals as the Old Dutchburn House, about a mile from the Black Lantern Inn. The doors were unlocked. 2 uncashed paychecks with Brianna's name on them were found in the front seat, and change, a water bottle, and an unlit cigarette littered the ground beside the vehicle. The officer proceeded to the Black Lantern Inn to try and track down Brianna, but since the restaurant was closed and he received another call, he opted instead to have the car towed. When Jillian came back to her apartment after a weekend with her parents, she discovered Brianna's note untouched. After one day with no sign of her, Jillian called Kelly on Tuesday, March 23rd. Kelly was immediately worried, and after discovering no one had seen Brianna since Friday, she promptly filed a missing persons report. 2 days later, on Thursday, March 25th, Kelly and her husband Bruce went to the St. Albans Police Department to give them photos of their daughter. At this time, they discovered law enforcement had her car in custody and grew irritated. It was registered under Kelly's name, and they should have been notified as soon as the vehicle was found. But instead...
Yeah, that's something that I can say for myself, that it's like, I guess if they don't overall know like who, because it's just, it's situations I've heard of like that before where it's like, let's say, yeah, a person gets killed or something, you know, and they don't know like any family members, but like, you know, towards that person, I guess it's something where it's like they'll try to like figure out their investigation first and then start calling up friends and family to let them know like, hey, you know, we either, if it's a situation where the person's died and they found their body, then they're like, yeah, we found their remains, we're conducting this investigation, see what's going on. Because yeah, I've heard situations like that where it's like, you know, you don't end up hearing about stuff, like if it's like somebody that you know, you don't end up hearing about it until later on and things. And so yeah, it's just, that's yeah, because it's like, you know, cops, they trying to do their investigating and things, but anyways.
Sat unclaimed in a local garage for days, wasting precious time. Several passing motorists recalled seeing the Oldsmobile at the Old Dutchburn House between 11:30 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. the night Brianna vanished, but no one reported ever seeing a person or activity around the car. Whatever befell her unfolded very soon after she left her job. At first, Vermont police brushed Brianna off as a runaway. The young woman often expressed a desire to live elsewhere since she disliked her small rural hometown. At the time of her disappearance, she dropped out of high school in favor of a GED program and was living with her friend. Kelly insists that Brianna just desired additional freedom, and no tension led to this arrangement. The runaway scenario seemed unlikely. When the car was returned to the Maitlands, Bruce discovered her glasses, contact lens case, ATM card, and migraine medication inside. Additionally, though her family relationships were solid, not all of her associations were harmonious. She had a recent altercation with a former friend 3 weeks before she vanished. Keely LaCrosse physically attacked Brianna while she was seated in a truck, and Brianna, though trained in jiu-jitsu, refused to fight back. Left with black eyes, a broken nose, and a concussion, she filed charges against Keely, which were set to go to court right around the time of her vanishing. With no Brianna, the case was dropped, which is, of course, convenient for Keely. Nevertheless, despite her hostile relationship with Brianna, she has been cleared of any involvement in her former friend's disappearance.
It's like, okay, maybe it wasn't her that had anything to do with it, but maybe she put somebody up to it, on the reason why Brianna disappeared. I'm like, to me, that just don't make no sense. Court case is about to start, and then all of a sudden the key person in the case disappears. I'm like, yeah, she might have not did nothing physically, but either she did or she paid somebody off to do something, where it was another friend that also don't like Brianna and things. But yeah, because that's how friends work. It's like, if one friend doesn't like a person, the whole group don't like that person. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, you would think that a person would be smarter than that to not get involved, or it's like to try to talk their friend out of it. It's like, hey, you trying to do something to this person's life, because it's like, you should have never put hands on them. So whatever things you gotta pretty much take responsibilities for your actions, but yeah, something don't seem right. I'm like, all her stuff is there, and she's just gone, and it's like, yeah, that's something where I'm like, nah, somebody definitely did something to her.
The months wore on. Various tips trickled in that insinuated Brianna's involvement in the local drug scene had led to her demise. Friends noted that Brianna had begun to experiment with harder drugs, and she was an acquaintance of New York drug dealers Ramon Ryans and Nathaniel Jackson. An unnamed older woman claimed that Brianna was murdered by Ramon in an argument between the two after she lent him money for drugs. A friend of Brianna's, Katie Manning, told WPTZ News that she believes Brianna is dead because of some kind of money and drug mix-up. As she stated, she owed the wrong person money for the wrong thing. That person was in her car that night. 6 years later, the police revealed that they had a match to the DNA found in Brianna's car, but they provided no identity, only noting that the person in question was fully cooperating. On the 20th anniversary of her disappearance, the FBI announced a $400,000 reward for information regarding Brianna's case. She would now be in her late 30s. At the time of her disappearance, she was 5'4" and 105 pounds. She is a white female with brown hair and hazel eyes. If you have any information on Brianna's case, please contact the number on the screen.
Wow. The Trouble, Ursula, and Sabina.
On Friday, March 16, 2008, Swedish native Ursula Eriksson came to her twin sister Zabina's home in Ireland for a visit. At the time, Ursula lived in the United States, while Zabina was living with her husband and 2 children. At some point, Zabina and her husband got into an argument. Late that night, the twins abruptly left the home and boarded a ferry to Liverpool, England. After arriving around 8:30 a.m. on Saturday, May 17th, the sisters first went to the St. Anne Street police station and informed officers that Sabina's husband was abusive, and they were concerned for the safety of her children. Liverpool authorities contacted the police in Dublin, who were able to confirm that while the couple had argued the previous evening, there was no clear sign of abuse or danger to either Sabina or the children, based on the interviews conducted with her partner. 3 hours later, the twins boarded a bus to London. About an hour and a half into the ride, the driver noticed the sisters as they anxiously clutched their bags and looked around nervously. So he stopped the bus and requested to see the contents of their bags. When the pair refused, the driver kicked them off, leaving them at the Keighley Services Station on the M6 motorway, about an hour northwest of Birmingham at 1 p.m. The manager of the service station witnessed the sisters' strange behavior as they exited the bus and called the police. Officers arrived and interviewed the sisters, but allowed them to continue on their way. CCTV next sighted the sisters walking down the median of the
wow.
large, multi-lane M6 motorway. The speed limit on the M6 is around 70 miles per hour, so when the sisters suddenly surged out into oncoming traffic, drivers had little time to react. Zabina jumped into the road first and was struck by a car. Ursula followed but managed to avoid an accident. Despite being hit by a fast-moving vehicle, Zabina stood up as if nothing had happened. Police
That's
responded to
crazy.
the incident, intercepting the women where they stood on the shoulder. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Ursula wrenched herself free from the officers and careened back into traffic. She was struck and then dragged by a semi-truck. Zabina followed and was hit once more by another car.
Oh no! Bitch!
What?
Oh Jesus! Mike Alpha, we need ambulance. Senior officers to the scene. We've got 2 possible fatals.
Ursula's legs were crushed, while Zabina remained unconscious for 15 minutes. But despite their injuries, and once Zabina regained consciousness, the pair remained violent and hostile. Ursula reportedly told officers restraining her, "I recognize you. I know you're not real." While Zabina cried out, "They're going to steal your organs." Zabina struck
Yeah,
the
they have to be high off drugs or something. That is not normal. That is crazy. I'm like, that is some stuff where I'm like, man, that would traumatize me if I'm a cop. I'm like, nah, that's something where I'm like, they have to be under the influence or suffer from something mentally, but I'm like, that's not normal, you know?
officer holding her and raced across to the other side of the M6.
It's
and
like-
it ultimately took 6 people to restrain
Yeah.
her. She was transported to a local hospital in an ambulance, while Ursula was taken via helicopter. It is unclear if they were brought to the same facility. At the hospital, Zabina was reportedly relaxed and jovial. No drugs or alcohol were present in her system, and she was released.
I find that hard to believe. Then something's wrong with them mentally. I'm like, the thing is this, you don't run into oncoming traffic multiple times and then get ran over, and then on top of that, you still trying to, something ain't adding up.
into police custody. She remained cooperative.
It's
and
like,
spent
it's either that or I guess, yeah, they must be dealing with something emotionally to where they wanted their lives to be taken. But I'm like, fam, it's like, if you guys are going through something, talk about that. You know, it's like, my thing is this. It could be a complete stranger, and that's something where it's like, I don't care what I'm doing. If I'm like, let's say if I'm out like shopping around, a stranger comes up to me and they want to start telling me about their problems, I'm like, fam, let's sit down, let's talk about this. I'm like, I got nothing but time. I'm gonna let my people know where I'm at. But yeah, I'm like, let's sit down and talk about this. I'm like, what do you got going on? I want to hear you out. I don't want it to be a situation where I push you away, like, get away from me. No, you ain't getting that from me. I'm going to hear you out, all right? So, yeah, it's like, you can always talk to somebody about something. Even if it is a complete stranger. If they don't listen, keep finding people until somebody does listen. But doing that, running out into oncoming traffic numerous times, nah, that's not normal.
spent the night in the local jail. On May 19th, after pleading guilty to trespassing on the motorway and hitting a police officer, she was sentenced to 1 day in jail and released into the nearby city of Stoke-on-Trent with time served. At no point was she given a psychiatric evaluation. Around 7 p.m., 2 local men, Glenn Hollinshead and Peter Malloy, were out walking Glenn's dog when they noticed Zabina standing on the corner. After she complimented his dog, Zabina asked where the nearest bed and breakfast was, adding that she was also trying to locate her sister in the hospital. Glenn, being the friendly type, invited her to stay at his home instead. Additionally, his brother worked at a local hospital, so he noted that he could likely help her locate Ursula. Zabina accepted his generous offer and followed the men back to Glenn's house on Duke Street. As the night wore on, they witnessed a deterioration of Zabina's attitude. She became nervous and paranoid, frequently checking the windows without explanation. Peter was especially put off by her behavior and wondered if she was running away from an abusive partner. Around midnight, Peter left. The next evening at 7:40 p.m., Glenn's neighbor, Frank Booth, witnessed him stumbling out of his front door, covered in blood. He told Frank, "She stabbed me," and with his final breath, he asked him to look after his dog. Glenn passed away before the paramedics arrived. Zabina fled the scene and was spotted a short moment later by a motorist, Joshua Gradage, striking herself. Joshua leapt out of his car to assist, but Zabina produced a roof tile from her back pocket and hit him over the head. A stunned Joshua stepped back as Zabina ran once more, this time with paramedics on her heels. The chase ended when Zabina jumped from a 40-foot bridge into the A50, a major highway that runs through Stoke-on-Trent. The fall shattered both of her ankles and fractured her skull, so she returned to the hospital. Once released on September 11th, she was taken into custody and charged with Glenn's murder. 1 year later, Zabina pleaded guilty to manslaughter with diminished responsibility. She had violently stabbed Glenn 5 times, including once through the heart with one of his kitchen knives. Zabina never provided any reasoning or context for her actions. Both the prosecution and the defense agreed that Zabina was insane when the crime was committed, but that now she was sane once more. The defense posited that Zabina and Ursula had suffered from folie à deux, a mental condition that manifests as shared delusions or psychosis between two people. Other theories chalked Sabina's behavior up to other psychiatric disorders that caused hallucinations or delusions, but those don't explain Ursula's involvement in the M6 incident. The judge sentenced her to 5 years in prison, but she spent only 2 behind bars. Released in 2011,
she don't need to be out on the streets. I'm like, nah. That's something where I'm like, if I'm in that area and then they talking about, oh, she was just freed, I'm like, okay, well, I know I'm gonna stay far away from her, but yeah, that's something where I'm like, nah, bruh, she doesn't need to. She needs to be in the home where she's taken care of, but she doesn't need to be out on the street. So
returned to Sweden, and her current whereabouts are unknown. As for Ursula, after her recovery, she returned to the United States. There were plenty of opportunities for the Erickson sisters to be detained and kept away from the public. Their behavior was erratic, and they were a danger to both themselves and those around them. As Glenn's brother Gary noted, "We don't hold her responsible, the same as we wouldn't blame a rabid dog for biting someone. She is ill, and to a large degree not responsible for her actions, but her mental disorder should have been recognized much earlier."
That's crazy, man.
Tell us your theories in the comments below. Where are Lauren Spearer and Brianna Maitland? Who killed Gareth Williams and Michaela McAvery? Just what made Ursula and Sabina snap that day? We're glad you love our Unsolved Mysteries series as much as we do. Keep your eyes peeled for the next installment. Be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.
I think with that last one with the twins, I think that it just them not receiving help. That's just like that mental disorder. It just build up and up. And then, then they just started acting out. You know, it's something that it's like you see about it in documentaries, you hear about it on the news, you see it in movies. It's just one of those things where it's like, nah, that was just a build up. And I just think that it's dangerous to have it where it's like they're out on the street. So they need to have it where there's somebody watching them 24/7 that can protect themselves in case if they do decide to snap again. Cause that's crazy. That is some insane stuff. But anyways, make sure if you guys haven't, go subscribe to Fact Faction for more videos like this. Like, subscribe to me too, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.